Thank you for joining us for this month's News and Views. We have a chock-full program today. In Champlin, City Council member Ryan Karasik is here to talk about Mississippi Crossings redevelopment plan. And City Planner Scott Schulte is here to discuss commercial development. In Ramsey, our guests are City Council member Jason Tossi, and he's going to talk about the Armstrong Interchange project on Highway 10. Also, Nicole Wenberg is here to give us a recap on the recent Happy Days in Ramsey. In Andover, City Council member Julie Trude stops by to talk about a recent survey that was done, and the residents gave Andover an A+ in lots of subjects. She will fill us in. And also Kevin Starr is here because he's in charge of the many beautiful parks in Andover. And in Anoka, City Council member Jeff Weaver is here to tell us about the Waterfowl for Warriors program. And Darren Berger is going to talk about home improvement programs through the Center for Energy and Environment. All that and more is coming up right now on News and Views.
QCTV is an award-winning community media center.
We inform citizens about the actions of their city governments.
We connect residents to the events and activities happening in their own backyard.
We engage others to provide local programming to our Channel 15.
We innovate, offering live event coverage via our website and on-demand streaming of regular programs.
We collaborate with local organizations for important community conversations.
Most importantly, QCTV tells the stories that matter to the people who live, work, and play in the communities of Andover, Anoka, Champlin, and Ramsey.
Welcome back. Once again, I am your host, Corey Lang, and the faces of Champlin are always changing in the best way possible. So after saying that, the theme for this segment is development. And joining me is my first guest today, and that is City Council member Ryan Karasik. Welcome, Ryan. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here. So we're here to talk about development, specifically the Mississippi Crossings redevelopment plan. Can you give me and our audience a little background on kind of about that?
Certainly. It all kind of started back in 1999 where the city and the council put together a citizen task force of 26 members to look at that area to find out what they could do for redevelopment and find out what the vision of the city had for the future. So it's been quite a long time coming along as far as the process is concerned of acquiring lands and that through that area. And we're now at the end of it, to the extent that we've acquired most of all the lands just in the last year and raised the last buildings that are there. So it's a really exciting time right now for an opportunity for the city to reinvent itself on the riverfront.
Fantastic. Can you touch on a little bit about the future of the crossings area, what's included, and when residents can expect to see stuff popping up there?
Yeah. Well, it's obviously a very exciting area. You know, everybody's driving by now looking at it, and it's a big open space. I know I've talked to a number of times the residents that live over there, and they would love to see it just be the way it is right now forever.
Sure.
But you know, it is an area that, you know, I always say that God isn't making any more riverfront property, and it's a great asset to the city. A third of our border is river. And unfortunately, there isn't a lot of opportunities for the residents of Champlin to actually utilize the river. We do have a few parks where we can get down to and enjoy it. And I think that this is going to be one area that the residents should be able to utilize and should be able to come to. It is beautiful. I mean, the whole area there is absolutely beautiful. I've seen photos of the area up at 50 foot high, and it overlooks, you can see the Minneapolis skyscape, you can see the park reserve, you can see obviously up and down the river. It's just an amazing area, so there's certainly an opportunity to do something special over there. We had at one juncture a developer that was interested in that as far as putting up an apartment, a market rate apartment building, a higher end, high amenity, high rent apartment facility. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for the city. They had some financial constraints with the structure of their financing that didn't exactly work out for them. So that went away. And recently we hired Cassidy Turley, a real estate broker, to start looking at other options that we have for that area and start marketing it to different developers. We have had a bit of interest from developers that want to develop on that area, and it just hasn't been, so far, hasn't been the product that we wanted. We recognize that that area is special. It's special to the city, and it's special to the residents in Champlin. And we want to make sure whatever it is that we do there, we do it right. It's taken, 14 years from this plan first started to where we are right now, and it would be a shame if we just put something up there just to build something right now. So all the folks that I talk to all the time, they say, you want to know what? Take your time, do it right, and that's what we're really focusing on. So we do have developers that are interested in it, but they're just not the product that we exactly want yet. But we're hopeful, and Cassidy Turley, our real estate brokers that are helping us, are hopeful that that will all start coming to fruition. As the economy continues to improve, development continues to come along, that whole area will improve. To touch on another part of that question, to give a little bit of an explanation of the development as a whole, it's a 60-acre area. When we're talking about the Mississippi Crossings, it's not just the piece of land right next to the bridge, behind the gas station, behind the liquor store and Q Fanatic and that there.
Sure.
We're talking about an area that expands all the way down the river to even to the new roundabout in Hayden Lake Road. And that is the beginning of an area where people are going to go into that's going to be more of like a park that residents are going to be able to go to and utilize to have something on the river that they can enjoy.
Sure.
And there's land along that entire stretch and on both sides of the highway. So there's going to be a multi-phase development, hopefully, that will include a lot of housing. We initially wanted some commercial space. We were looking at a restaurant on the river, which I think would be amazing to have a restaurant on the river, something maybe a little bit elevated with some rooftop dining.
Sure.
That can utilize the views of the river. So I'm very excited, and I'm hopeful and optimistic that we're going to get something really good there. At least that's something that I'm focusing on and fighting for.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. The river's beautiful, and it would be a shame to not utilize the wonderful asset the city of Champlin has. So, well, I think we're running short on time, but I just want to thank you for being here today, Ryan.
Thank you.
I think that's very helpful information and great for the residents to hear.
Yeah.
So now we're going to just take a quick peek at a recent networking event. It was the 27th annual Champlin Business Appreciation Day Golf Tournament. So let's take a look at that right now.
Here at the Links at North Fork in Ramsey, business folks are gathered today for the 27th Annual Business Appreciation Day, sponsored by the City of Champlin. We had an opportunity to check up with EDA Executive Director John Cox, who filled us in. John, tell us what's going on here today at the golf club.
Well, Catherine, this is our 27th Annual Business Appreciation Day. It's a day of fellowship where we invite our business partners, our clients, our vendors, business leaders within the community. It's just a fantastic day, and as I mentioned, it's 27 years we've been doing this year at the Links in North Fork.
We've invited all the partners that we do business with, the business leaders within the City of Champlin, and asked them to come out and just spend a day with us. It gives us time to be with them and thank them and appreciate them for the business they do with us.
Champlin is a wonderful city to do business and live. We have a lot of community support with all the businesses that we have here, and I noticed over the years many of the residents really have a lot of loyalty to our local businesses, and they like to do what they can to support local businesses.
Golf is an interesting game, sometimes fickle, and so we asked some of the people here today how their game has been so far this year.
I've golfed twice this year, and it's terrible. So, and I'm sure it will be today.
Not great.
My golf game hasn't been that spectacular. We'll see how it goes today, but I'm looking forward to a good day of golf with friends and a lot of great people.
Not so good. But I'm working on it. That's why I'm here. I love golf. It's fun, but I don't take it too serious, so I have a good time when I'm out here.
There's a hint of autumn in the air today, and so we asked some of the participants what their favorite thing is about fall in Minnesota.
I think it's the colors, just going out and enjoying nature. So I just love it right after Labor Day, and we can enjoy that here in Minnesota.
I love to hunt, so I spend a lot of time hunting out in the fall.
I think the apple picking and the bonfires, definitely not picking up the leaves in my yard.
High school football and professional football.
Who won the tournament? The Summit AR team beat the Willie McCoy's team in a playoff. Both teams finished at 10 under par. City staff and local businesses alike look forward to the 28th annual tournament.
Well, it's certainly fantastic to see smiling faces and folks just getting to network with each other on the city side as well as the business side in the city of Champlin. Second guest today is Scott Schulte. He's the city planner for Champlin, and we want to welcome him today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Corey. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. How's things with you lately?
Good, good. You know, it's interesting. I've been with Champlin now since probably right around 99. So
oh, wow.
15 years.
Holy
and
cow.
This year has been one where it seems like it's when I started in Champlin in terms of development and stuff that's occurring. So it's exciting. It's, you know, there was a bit of a lull, I would say, in terms of development in the, you know, the mid-2000s with the economy and just, you know, some stagnation in general. And so it's refreshing to sort of be back into the development swing of things again in Champlin. So,
well, congratulations to that. That's a kind of a huge milestone for you.
Yeah, it's been exciting, and they're good people. It's a good community. I've enjoyed it, seen many things happen, obviously, in 15 years. I think when I started in Champlin, population was right around 14,000 or so folks, and now, you know, in the 15 years I've been here, we're up approaching 25,000. So a lot of new stuff happening.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, we're here to talk about commercial and residential development. Can you just update our viewers, can you touch a bit about recent commercial development in the city of Champlin?
Sure. We've had a couple of projects this year in 2014. Went through the approval process and actually are now under construction. And I'd like to note a couple of them in particular. One is Acorn Mini Storage. They went through the approval process in the spring. And got council approval to build a 100,000 square foot mini storage facility.
Great.
Acorn Mini Storage, I believe, has around 7 locations in the metro area. They are now in Champlin, soon to open. Actually, they're under construction, nearing completion. I would anticipate in the next 30 to 60 days that you might be able to be storing goods in Champlin, which is interesting because really the reality is there isn't that opportunity offered in Champlin. So we're glad that they've decided to come and locate here and seem to provide a quality service. So,
yeah, absolutely. I took a trip down Champlin Drive the other day, and it looks like they're coming along pretty nicely, which is pretty impressive. It seems just like yesterday I was at the Champlin Council meeting, and they just approved that project.
Right,
so
and I see it every day because it's, you know, the site's just north of, or actually just south of City Hall, off of Champlin Drive.
Yep.
So yeah, drive by it every day. So you're really tracking the progress on a daily basis.
That's amazing. Speaking of that, can you touch just a bit about recent residential activity in the city of Champlin?
Well, before I do want to mention a couple of other commercial projects I think that are to note. One is, and maybe you've seen some of the work going on with the new Allina Clinic. In fact, Allina Medical is building a new medical clinic on their existing site that they are today in Champlin. In fact, they're starting the footings for the new building, and ultimately they're maintaining the operation in the old building, and it'll be sort of a turnkey type scenario where the new building will open and then they'll work on demolishing the existing building. There are some logistical issues with that they're taking care of, but ultimately we're excited about them and their 25,000 square foot new medical clinic. So based on feedback from some of the folks that work at Allina, they're very excited, obviously, to have the new digs. I guess the building they were operating under was built in roughly the mid-'70s, and so it's become dated, and so it should be good. Good for clients, I guess, or patients, and for the staff.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I've been going there. We had Mayor Emma Nelson on the last episode, and we were talking about it and the groundbreaking that was held. And I've been going to that building since I was a kid, Champlin Park Dental, which has now since moved. But that's great. Anything else in the commercial
Yeah, there's 3 that aren't, it's not necessarily bricks and mortar type developments, but new businesses coming into town. One I wanted to mention, or 3 of them I wanted to mention. One is a Willie McCoy's Bar and Grill, which probably have seen the signs on 169. They're actually going to be occupying the former Champlin American Legion site. They're making a ton of improvements, both interior and exterior. to kind of spruce that building up. But Willie McCoy's is sort of a rustic prohibition style bar and grill, so family dining, but they'll also be maintaining the banquet aspect of the operation that was, if you recall, at the Legion was offered as well. So exciting that we're getting a user for that building and one that's is high quality, and also is maintaining that banquet option as well for Champlin, as it's pretty much the only game in town for an event more than 200 people is the American Legion. And the two other businesses I wanted to mention, one is Village Games, who actually, Village Games is a retail gaming establishment, but they also provide, along with the retail gaming, options for you to play, actually invite friends and play or try out or sample some of the games that they offer. So it's board games, and mainly board games, but card games and etc. They're actually moving their operation from Anoka into Champlin in the Champlin Station retail building, which is just north of Mann Theater.
Oh, gotcha.
So that they'll be probably doing some tenant improvements for that business here in the next month or so as well. And the third I wanted to mention was Little Orbits, which is it's actually a mini donut manufacturing company. So they don't make the donuts, but they make the things that make the donuts. And they're actually moving an operation from Plymouth into Champlin, and they'll be in the Elm Creek Commerce Center building, 109th Avenue 169, larger buildings down there. So again, excited to see some spaces being filled by some unique businesses that add some flavor to the city. So
fantastic. Well, unfortunately, we are running out of time. I know you wanted to touch on commercial development, but maybe we'll save that for a future episode. I just want to thank you for being here today. Now we're going to take a quick peek at a recent PSA day that was held at Champlin, where QCTV hooked up with a few key staff members from the city to talk about what's going on in their neck of the woods. Let's take a look at that right now.
Every city hall has a group of individuals that are working very hard on your behalf. These departments take care of things that really do affect your life, whether it's dealing with the streets or the beautiful parks or urging economic development to your community. We stopped by Champlin City Hall to see what's going on.
Hello, my name is Tim Hansen. I'm the city engineer for Champlin. The engineering department is responsible for the design and construction administration of public improvement projects involving sanitary sewer, water service, drainage, streets, street lighting, trails, and sidewalks.
The City of Champlin is home to 32 parks spanning over 300 acres of land. Most of them are small, local neighborhood parks featuring play equipment and a few additional amenities.
The Champlin Police Department proudly serves the people of Champlin 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
The Code Enforcement Department is responsible for the zoning ordinance, the public nuisance ordinance, the property maintenance code, the vacant building registration ordinance, and the rental licensing ordinance.
Today we are known as the Anoka Champlin Fire Department. We have two stations, one in the city of Anoka and one in the city of Champlin.
Welcome to the Ramsey portion of the show on News and Views. Today I'm going to be joined by Ramsey Council member Jason Tossi. Jason, thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I hear that you are interested in what's going on Highway 10 in Ramsey. So one of those projects that's coming into fruition right now is the Armstrong Interchange project. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, sure, absolutely. When I was elected in 2010, so started in 2011, it was really my main focus was that interchange at Armstrong. Along the route in Highway 10 through Ramsey, we've seen some hard channelization, some medians put in at Sunfish and Ramsey Boulevard, but Armstrong was never touched. And myself, living in that area, I live between Ramsey Boulevard and Armstrong. Having to take that, I've seen some of the near misses and some of the non-near misses, i.e. the crashes that have occurred on there. And that intersection, that at-grade intersection at Armstrong Boulevard and Highway 10 is incredibly dangerous. Folks get stuck in between the highway and the train tracks often. People have to back up. The whole thing has been kind of a mess. And then if you throw in the fact that our first responders, our police and our fire, have no way to get to Highway 10 if you have multiple trains going through those tracks. We've seen it before. Those trains can go fast, but they can also decide to take their sweet time through there. And when you have a mile-long train, sometimes it could take up to 7 minutes for our first responders to get to an accident on Highway 10. And we brought up an example, and so in early 2012, we started lobbying the legislature very hard to get those improvements at Armstrong. And one of the things we did is we showed a video of an accident that occurred at Sunfish Boulevard. And well, you would ask why Sunfish Boulevard when we were worrying about Armstrong. Well, the reason why is because our officers, regardless, there was two slow-moving trains, one going north, one going south, or east and west, and however you want to think about it. We're going in opposite directions. Our officers who were stuck on the north side of Highway 10, because really is only about 10% of Ramsey is south of Highway 10, if that, are those officers who were all north couldn't get across those train tracks. They're all at-grade train tracks. They were stuck at Sunfish, they were stuck at Ramsey Boulevard, and some were stuck at Armstrong. This was a pretty serious accident. Someone was trying to turn left, southbound onto Highway 10 or eastbound. As they were going, they were T-boned by a vehicle going towards Elk River. And thankfully, there was no fatalities, but it was a very serious accident. And you saw Good Samaritans trying to help. And as the MnDOT cameras captured this accident, you could see Good Samaritans trying to help. One of the Good Samaritans, as there was gasoline all over the highway, lit up a cigarette in the process of trying to help. So what was already a pretty serious situation could have turned fatal. And the Good Samaritan was just trying to help those folks, and I'm sure under stress, he immediately thought it just came natural to him. And unfortunately, our officers didn't get there in a timely manner, not because they were out doing something else, but really because they were just cut off. They did not have access to Highway 10. In fact, the CSO from Anoka and an ambulance crew that was in Anoka at the time made it there before our officers. So one of the first things you do, and my background is law enforcement, the first things you try to do in public safety is make sure the scene is safe. There was no one there for minutes to ensure that the scene was safe. With an Armstrong overpass, a guaranteed access onto Highway 10, our officers and our first responders, our fire department will always have a sure access onto Highway 10, either if they're going to go north towards Elk River or south towards Anoka. That's going to be a guaranteed access. So it was one of those things that I lobbied hard down at the legislature for, was so that our first responders could get there in a timely manner. It also helps for obviously our residents to be able to access the highway to Elk River or Anoka or Coon Rapids to get to Riverdale. But it also, you know, one of the other things that you could make an argument for, this does help developmental in Ramsey as well within the core. To me, that was a minor part of it. I think when you use tax money such as what's going to be an expensive overpass, really you can make an argument that it's a public safety issue. And as you go to the legislature and you're trying to lobby legislators from Baudette or Babbitt or Ely, they don't really care about development in Ramsey. But when you can show them that public safety side of it, you can make a pretty good case as to why this needs to be done.
So this is really an issue that goes all the way up to the state level. It's not just a local issue. Yeah,
you could argue it's actually a federal issue as well. It's a United States highway. You know, Highway 10 is a U.S. Highway 10. But yes, generally this MnDOT is tasked with the stuff with the construction along Highway 10. Now, that being said, Ramsey's going to have local financial obligations to this overpass. The county will as well, Anoka County, the state, and just recently we received a grant from the federal government as well for that United States highway. But yes, the obligation really is on MnDOT. And MnDOT came up with those plans and we just went with them.
Well, I'm sure people will be happy when that is finished. I didn't know that it was even in the works, so I know I get caught up by trains there all the time, pretty much every time I go to Ramsey. So that'll be convenient, in addition to just being a safer place to drive. So we're almost out of time, so I just want to thank you for coming on the show. Again, filling the residents of Ramsey in on what's going on. And our own Leslie Sauer got to check out this awesome program in Ramsey called Youth First. So let's take a look at that.
It really is a fun program. We're supporting their lives.
Youth First is a very important place to be. It's a very important organization that helps a lot of kids in this community in a lot of different ways, like family issues, school issues, any kind of thing. It's just a place you can rely on.
I don't know, the best way I could describe it is my family, because we're tight, like together.
But when they're here, we're all just kind of one big family, and it's the coolest thing to stand back sometimes and watch all these like random groups of kids you'd never expect to interact just like be and hang out and be okay with each other. And that, I think, is one of the coolest parts about our program, is that all the kids feel accepted. Like, we can be who we are here. There's a wide range of kids in our program, kids who really just need some place to hang out until the bus comes, to kids who really have a lot of struggles at home and are facing and dealing with a lot, and we really work with them to try to piece those things together so they can focus on school, see a vision for their future, and also solve some of those problems they've got going on. So during the school year, it's a lot of homework help and a lot of hangout, and it's super cool to get to see them grow up and to see these kids that, you know, who for themselves didn't see a whole lot of future, but see themselves now working or going to school or, you know, in some cases starting families. And it's just super fun to see that they did it, and to remind them, like, look at what you've accomplished.
Youth First really is a great organization. We're really lucky to have something like that in the city of Ramsey. So now I'm joined by the Ramsey Public Information and Events Specialist, Nicole Wenberg. Nicole, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So you had a big hand in this year's Happy Days event. How did Happy Days go? Just a little overview of how things went.
It was a huge success. We had great weather that day, and I think that contributed to the large crowds that we saw. We think it was the highest attendance in the last couple of years, so that's really great. And we had a lot of exciting activities and attractions for the visitors all day, starting at 8 a.m. with the pancake breakfast, and then running all day and finishing with a live concert and a fireworks show at 11:30 that night. So it was a full jam-packed day.
So what were some of the events or activities that really stood out to you and you think that people really liked the most?
Definitely, I would say the parade is always a huge hit with our visitors. We had 50 floats in the parade this year, so it's bigger than it's been in the past, and a variety of different businesses and organizations come out and join us for that. So we had a lot of interesting things for the community to get to see, and giveaways and candy for the kids, so I think that was a highlight of the day, definitely. And then people always really seem to enjoy the live music and the concerts in the evening, and the fireworks show was a huge hit as well. So.
Well, that's great. I was out there during the parade. You know, we saw each other out there, and from what I could see, it looked like people were having a great time. Beautiful weather. That's always good.
Yep.
So, are you guys already starting to plan for next year?
A little bit, we are. We have a little bit of a break, but we're already starting to consider performers for next year. That's probably one of the first things that we cover. So already we have our next Happy Days committee meeting in December, so we'll be making decisions already.
That's great. I mean, that's why it goes off without a hitch, because you guys plan a year ahead.
Yep.
It's like the state fair. So there was talk that the name Happy Days might be getting changed for next year. Could you give us an update on that?
Sure. So we've been collecting feedback and input from Ramsey citizens over the last couple of months. We did an article in the Ramsey Resident and got some feedback there, and then we were also collecting feedback at our Happy Days information booth at the festival. And the results were in, we tallied everything up, and it sounded like no to the name change. So we're sticking with the traditional Happy Days Festival for next year.
Might as well keep it the same. So I've noticed that Happy Days is a little bit different than some of the other communities' annual festivals, where it's only one day, not a whole weekend. Do you think that benefits the city in any way, or what advantage do you think that is?
I think, you know, in the past it's been spread out over a couple of days, but recently we've condensed it all into one day, and I think that that makes for a higher quality event, higher crowd attendance. Everyone comes out on that one day, and we just fill the day from start to finish. And it's a really fun day for everyone, and families, kids, all ages. So
I had fun when I was there. So if somebody wants to help out next year or get involved in some way, who is a good person for them to contact?
They can contact me. And my email is nwenberg@cityoframsey.com, or they can also contact me by phone, which is 763-433-9831.
That's great. I'm sure that will be useful to some people.
We also have a lot of information on our website as well.
Perfect. Yeah, those are great resources. So you were an intern this year at Happy Days, but I've heard that you have just come on full-time with the City of Ramsey. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Could you give us a little insight on what you'll be doing for the city?
So my main projects will be any events that the city is hosting, groundbreaking ceremonies, ribbon cuttings, our business networking events and expos, that type of thing, and then of course Happy Days. And also I'll be working a little bit on communications for the city.
Well, that's great. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
So I just want to thank you for joining us on the show today. We learned a lot about Happy Days. I'm glad it was a success, and I hope it continues to be. I'm sure it will be. So the Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce recently held an annual scholarship fund event in Ramsey. Catherine Lenneberg has the scoop.
Rum River Regional Central Park is the scene this afternoon for the 10th annual Benefit Bash. We talked with Jim Steffen for the scoop.
We're out here at Rum River Central Regional Park in the city of Ramsey, Anoka County, of course, and we're raising money for the Ann Talley Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce Scholarship Fund.
It's always at this location. There's a beautiful Anoka County Park again, well done, and they do raise a lot of money for it.
It's a scholarship fund that we put in place many, many years ago, and in fact it used to be just called the Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce Scholarship Fund. Ann Talley is a person that passed away. She was on the board of directors at the time of a tragic accident, and so over the course of the next year we had some discussions with her parents and decided to name the scholarship program after her, and it was a great call.
Well, about 10 years ago, Jim and I were hosting my 40th birthday here, and we had so much fun. And we kept thinking, well, what could we do to keep doing this party? And Jim and I felt that if we were going to do this party, we wanted it to benefit someone or something. And that's when we decided to help the chamber out.
Raise a little bit more money every year, so it's hard to stop. You know, we keep saying, how long will we do this? And we'll probably keep doing it as long as people want to come out and support it.
Ramsey is a place where people really come together to support each other's causes, and today is an example of why people really like it here. Welcome to News and Views. I'm Catherine Lenneberg, and today we are talking about Andover and what a great city Andover is. And joining me is one of the biggest city boosters, Julie Trude. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Julie.
Thank you.
Very good. Now, there was a recent survey that went out that was done by Bill Morris of Morris Leatherman Resources, and it says that people were very satisfied with living in Andover, and they're satisfied with the way things are going, and they're also optimistic about the future. Why do you think folks like living here so much?
Well, the things I hear from people when I'm out talking to people is that they just love the open space. They feel like they live way out in the country, but yet it's 20 minutes from Minneapolis, so it's an easy commute. We enjoy nature in our yards. I just can't believe how many people have seen a coyote. I mean, you can live on a street, on a county road, and there are coyotes taking your bunnies and whatever rodents you have in your yard, and I'm just shocked. People have chickens, we have farms. I have neighbors who can board their horses a half mile from their house. So they love that ambiance of living out in the country, the amenity of being near the city, and those things come first, open space, rural feel, and then after that we hear schools. The real estate agents say people want to live in the Andover High School attendance area, but in general the Anoka-Hennepin district is favored. They love parks. We have a lot of young families, so our athletic programs and services are excellent. We're a younger community, so we have some trails near the new neighborhoods. You see people out walking and biking every day. Besides that, we're next to Bunker Park. We have the scenic Rum River. There's a couple of lakes. So just, I'd say amenities, nature, the rural feel are really very high on people's lists. And even this summer, I went to a conference and we had a speaker talk about Love Your City. And I came back and said, well, let's put something at our Fun Fest booth. And so we had sheets where people could write down what do they love about their city. And these things that came up in the survey were all the same things that we saw on those sheets, except I'd add the YMCA.
Very good.
That came up over and over.
Now, one thing the survey said they'd like more entertainment, dining and retail shopping. Do you agree that Andover maybe needs more restaurants?
Well, all of us would love to enjoy eating out and have a larger selection of restaurants, and it's been a council goal and priority for a long time. And in fact, we have a staff person that calls any new franchise that somebody sees or hears about in another state and invites them to come and look at property in Andover. And so we're working on trying to recruit. The ones that we have are doing tremendously well, which is kind of a testimony that another one could come and do well. And I think here's the reason that we are not getting those restaurants, and it's that we don't have a highway or an interstate. So the very reason people come to Andover to enjoy nature, open space, those things, the restaurants are like, yeah, we don't want to be in your city because we want to be where there's 50,000 cars a day.
Mm-hmm.
But our staff kind of helps them look at, we have 30,000 households, we have a good income, we have busy families, and the people in our city do well. So we're trying to overcome the formula and get more restaurants. So we're aware of this. I think everybody on staff would like more places to eat out. So yes, it is something that we're aware of.
Can you talk a little bit about the open space program?
Yes, and a number of years ago, the residents voted on a voter referendum to fund $2 million of purchases of open space land. And we've now completed 3 purchases. Another one will be finalized next month. And and we have a commission of appointed residents who have served to evaluate the purchase of property that people are interested in selling. And a piece that we just bought from the Osnes family, for example, they had developers offering them money to have homes built there, and they value nature and open space. They love the lifestyle they've had in Andover, and they said, no, we want this set aside for future generations. So they sold their property to the city. And we have a couple other parcels like that as well. So it's just this buy-in to this rural feeling. Will this still be here for the next generation? And people want that to be there. And we have not been good at publicizing it. It's been in the city newsletter, but it's a little tricky to find. I looked for it on the website this morning, and we need to change the tabs. So you have to go to government and commissions, open space commission, and then you would find photos and descriptions and maps. And I've been out and walked the open space with the commission. Recently, we went to the one by Rum River, Martins Meadows. Just love nature. It's just a beautiful place to go and get away from everything.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Julie. We could do a whole special on the open space.
I think we could, because it'd be great to have some clips.
Okay, very good. We will do that. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today. And now we are going to, Andover recently got a new fire truck, and it was a really big deal, and I know you were there, Julie, and Leslie Sauer was there as well, so let's take a look at that.
With Andover continuing to grow, the need for a new fire truck came just in time.
We're very proud. This was one of those moments that you will not see again for a long, long time. Just to see it drive up, it was very emotional, don't you think? Oh, it was amazing.
This new truck has been in the planning process for 12 years. Retired Fire Chief Dan Winkle shared what he thought of the new truck.
First time I've seen it, like everybody else. It was pretty exciting to see that it's finally here.
The biggest difference is technology.
The technological differences on this truck don't even compare. It's going to be a lot safer for us. It's going to be a first response truck. We're going to be able to do a lot more with it as far as getting water on a fire strategically.
Community members and council members were there for the unveiling.
we have volunteer firefighters. These people get out of bed at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning to go answer calls and deal with life's most challenging moments. And we need to give them the best equipment we can to do the job they can to keep the public safe.
Fire Chief Jerry Strike talked of tradition.
Why black over red? Andover was one of the first, if not the first, in the metro area to go black over red. The color is black because Chief Winkle thought it looked cool, and I will agree. There isn't I don't think there's a sexier truck, if you will, around.
Joining me now is Kevin Starr, and he is the park supervisor for the city of Andover.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today, Kevin.
Hey.
Now tell us what the park supervisor does. What does your job entail for the city of Andover?
I work out at Andover Parks Department. I have 6 guys with me. We maintain all of the city parks and trails, open spaces in the city of Andover.
And how long have you been doing it, Kevin?
I started in 1979.
Okay, I'll do the math.
Yeah, it was, yes. It's been a lot of changes in them years.
Okay, now you have 67 city parks,
Yes,
which is
ma'am.
an awful lot, and 4 main ones. So let's start with Kelsey Round Lake Park. Tell us a little bit about that.
Kelsey Round Lake is it is the largest park out there. You may see on a map Hills of Bunker being the Anoka County Park there. That's a lot bigger, but that's a county-run park. Kelsey is 152 acres. And it's a passive park. It's trails and mainly nature, a lot of prairie restoration and boardwalk through the trails. There's about 3 miles of blacktop trails out there, and there is parking available.
Very good. And Sunshine Park, I was there earlier this year, and it was on a Saturday, and that was a hub of activity. The concession stand, and there were Little League games going on. It was very busy. Tell our viewers a little bit about Sunshine.
Sunshine is just over by Andover Elementary School. It's just under 40 acres, it's 38 acres. It's got 6 ball fields on it, skateboard park, 3 football, soccer fields, large playground. Again, then you have the elementary school, which has a large playground with it. It has trails around it, multiple parking, it's lighted, it's irrigated. It's probably one of the most diverse parks we have. Just across the street there are 2 boarded hockey rinks and a warming house. There's a meeting room in Sunshine Building. The thing on Sunshine, that was all built with volunteers. You know, they all came through and hand laid all that block out there, all the sod. So that was one of the projects we did back in the mid-'80s.
Very good. And how about Prairie Knoll Park?
Prairie Knoll is mainly football and lacrosse and soccer. It's 3 large soccer fields. We just got done blacktopping the parking lot over there. That's an irrigated park. It has a warming house, a basketball court, hockey rink and free skate rink, and a sliding hill.
Very good. And how about Andover Station North Park?
Station North is right next to the old dump site. It's just off of Hanson. It is about 30 acres, just under 30 acres. It's 3 baseball fields, a large building, and again, that was built with a lot of volunteers. They helped build the building out there. There's multiple parking, and there's a sliding hill there also. 2 of the ball fields are lighted.
Very nice. Now you're doing maintenance inspections this time of year. What does that mean?
We do on the inspections, the safety inspection for the overall layout of the park. It's mainly designed for the structures themselves. We have 38 playgrounds out there throughout the city. So we'll go through and just check literally everything on, from the fall zone to the swing hangers to the belts to everything, and make sure it's safe. You know, with that many parks, we're maintaining 51 at this time. We're not going to get to all of them once a week. So we really count on the public to let us know if there's an issue out there. So twice a year we will go through and do a full audit of all of the equipment, but we do count on the public helping us out if they see an issue, just to give us a call.
And how about volunteers? How can you use volunteers?
We do have an Adopt a Park program out there, and they can get involved that way for adopting of the park. We do count on all of our associations, all the different sporting associations to help us out, you know, right down to the coaches and the referees. They all, an awful lot of the things that go on out there are from volunteers. You know, all of the hands-on work, right to the kids helping us plant trees and flowers. There's plenty of ways to get involved if you want to get involved.
Very good. And do you have to worry about vandalism at your parks?
Lots. You'd be amazed how much things go wrong out there, things that get destroyed. Our budget's only so big, and when you start having things like that happen that you didn't count on, it takes those funds away and time away to fix things that just should have never happened in the first place.
Exactly. Anything else you'd like to add, Kevin, that people could help you and your crew do their job?
Again, if there's an awful lot of ways to get involved if people would like to get involved, from the Adopt a Park to helping coaching, helping maintain some of the fields, helping with trees and flowers. I mean, it's just helping with the hockey rinks. You know, we still look for volunteers on hockey rink, warming house also. So yeah, there's ways to get involved. Just check out the website and all the information's there.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for being with us
Thanks
here
a lot
today.
for having me.
Yep, you bet. Our pleasure. So now we're going to take a look at a very deserving organization called Youth First, and they are the only free neighborhood-based after-school program for youth that are ages 11 to 18, and they recently held a fundraiser. So let's take a look at that now.
I think we're just ready to play some golf.
Today is our exciting women's golf event, our 5th annual women's tournament that we have to raise funds for our beneficiary that we select each year. Each year TPC Rose selects a beneficiary to support, and this year it is Youth First based out of Anoka.
We primarily focus on the Anoka County area because that's where we all live and do business, and we want to pay it forward and give it back to our community.
Well, we have a record number of golfers. We have 120 women playing today, and we're so excited. We have beautiful weather. We're going to be out on the course playing a scramble tournament, and there's all kinds of fun stuff going on. There's party cars that you can win. There's raffles going on with a bunch of great prizes.
If I win the party card, I'll be especially happy, but yeah, no, I'll be out there with my foursome and hoping to tear it up.
My foursome is just out to have a really good time. My reward today is this beautiful blue sky day.
You know, I don't have any hopes of winning, but I know we're going to have a ton of fun.
Yeah, and that's what, I mean, it just adds to it. It's a blast to just get together with the women and the community. And
so I really think this event is one of the best you can come to.
Suck it! Yahoo! Hard! Yahoo!
Allison is my friend. We met in school when we were younger and grew up together. We did everything together. Then one day something happened, and people started to tease her, being really mean. At first she would pretend it was no big deal, that it didn't hurt her. But after a while it started to get to her. Her grades started to slip, and she used to be such an awesome student. Then she stopped talking to everyone, even me. Now she's not around anymore, and I miss her so much. Allison was my friend.
Hi, and thanks for joining us for the Anoka portion of News and Views. I'm Matt Overstreet, and joining me in the studio today is Anoka Council member Jeff Weaver, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about Waterfowl for Warriors. Thanks for joining us today, Mr. Weaver.
You bet, Matt.
All right. Now, first of all, let's talk to me a little bit about Waterfowl for Warriors. Exactly what is it?
Waterfowl for Warriors is a waterfowl hunt that is taking place, and we've had 2 hunts already this year. But they're hunts for waterfowl that are taking place on the Anoka Nature Preserve, which is a part and a piece of ground up in the north part of Anoka that the council put into perpetual easement. And it's a very unique piece of ground because it's got a lot of history. It's got history that dates back to the state hospital farm. And so the field that these veterans are hunting was part once of the state hospital farm that dates back to the late 1800s. It's phenomenal.
Wow, that's historic. And you said a couple of these have already taken place.
Yes, the first hunt was, there had been 2 hunts in September, and the gentlemen have taken quite a few geese. It's been wonderful. And it's been an array of, the first hunt was mostly older vets. So they had World War II vets, Korean War vets, and Vietnam vet, but these World War II vets. Just imagine having some 90-year-old guys. We've had some in wheelchairs, but some of these guys that are pretty spry, out hunting And you know, they're so emotional because they can't remember the last time they were able to go, and to have all this work set up for them to have a successful hunt is quite remarkable, and we're doing it right within the city limits of Anoka. And Matt, the program is guided and volunteered by State Highway Patrol troopers. The major's been out there, and Anoka police officers. So you've got all this law enforcement that's out there working with all these veterans, and you'll have a one-on-one volunteer to vets that are hunting. So it's just a phenomenal day out in the field. And then in the after the hunt is done at lunchtime, some of the Anoka firemen come out. They bring out the Anoka Fireman Grill, and they serve a wonderful meal of hot dogs and hamburgers and beans and potato salad, and have a great big picnic for these guys before they go on their way.
That sounds like a blast.
It is.
Now, I know you said a couple have already happened, but there's a few more that are going to be upcoming, and can you tell me when those are going to be?
There are. There's going to be one more hunt on Tuesday, October 14th, and then the last hunt will be on Monday, October 27th.
Wow, that's an amazing thing that you guys are doing for them. And is there anything that the community can do to volunteer and help out?
You know, if somebody has an interest, they could get a hold of me, and then I'll direct them to the appropriate folks that are keeping track of all the volunteers. But they could call or email me on the city email address, and they can find that on the city website. And there's also a link on the city website. This is probably the right way to go. If you go to the City of Anoka website, go to Community Events, go to Waterfall for Warriors, click on that tab. There'll be some photos of the hunts that have happened, and also a contact name, phone number, and email address.
And we can help direct some of that web traffic as well with the graphics. So
absolutely.
That's an amazing thing that we can do as a community to give back to our nation's veterans.
It's phenomenal. What's really neat about it is the park board was involved in giving the permission. You know, the council gave the stamp of approval. We've had city staff, city administrator, city engineer. Those folks have all been out and had lunch with these vets. We had the high school career person stop by at one of the hunts, and now they want to bring some of the high school seniors out and have those high school seniors get with these older vets and have some connection with those folks that sat in the trenches during World War II and the Korean War, and let them talk. It's phenomenal. You can't buy that.
That's an amazing way that we can, bridge a little bit of that history too. So,
absolutely.
Well, now, as much as we hate to admit it too, winter is going to be just around the corner.
It
and
is.
Just very briefly, if we can, I'd like to talk about something that's going to come up in the winter, and that is going to be the Mayor's Trail Ride. And I know that you've been actively involved with that in the past.
I have been, and the Mayor's Trail Ride is a unique event, but it's a snowmobiling event, and it's sponsored by the Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce. And the Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce consists of 11 or 12 different communities, and 6 of those communities are right on or touch the Rum River between here and St. Francis. So those communities are all involved. So when you get all 6 mayors of those communities out riding and raising funds on a chamber-sponsored event, and then the dollars that are put into those communities, it's quite remarkable. Over the last 4 years, I would say the Mayor's Trail Ride has raised and given out more than $12,000 to the charities, and those charities are the pick of the mayors that ride with.
That was my next question.
The Mayor of St. Francis, Mayor Tveit, has given his funds to the St. Francis Ambassadors Program. The Mayor of Oak Grove, Mayor Corrin, has given his funds to the Lake George Conservation District. Mayor Schultz from Nowthen has given his to the Nowthen Volunteer Fire Department. Andover, Ramsey, and Anoka have given their funds to Youth First, Community of Promise. So it's just it's a remarkable engine.
All worthy causes.
It is, and it's an economic engine that makes, some of these establishments that these riders go to, they have some of the biggest days they have in the entire year in that one afternoon event.
Yeah, that's outstanding. And when exactly will it take place?
This year's event is scheduled for January 31st.
Okay, it's a little ways off.
It's a long ways off, but it's a lot closer than you think.
Sadly, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, well, I would want to urge any of our viewers who want to take place in that they can take a look at some of last year. I took place in last year's Mayor's Trail Ride, and I can tell you it was an absolute blast. We had a lot of fun along the way. So I'm sure we'll have somebody along for this year to cover it as well. Thanks again for joining me today, Councilmember Weaver. Coming up, QCTV's Leslie Sauer attended the Celebrate Anoka Golf Tournament, and we've got some video for you to check out next.
With summer coming to a close and fall well underway, what better way is there to enjoy this magnificent weather than at the Celebrate Anoka Golf Tournament? Held at the Greenhaven Golf Course, this scramble-style tournament had an Angels and Demons theme, in which 9 holes were set up to be particularly easy, and 9 holes were set up to be as hard as it gets. With approximately 140 golfers turning up, a sizable amount of money was raised, which ultimately benefited the Gary Stout Memorial Scholarship Fund. So, as usual with Anoka's generous community, it all went towards a worthy cause.
What this event is about is it's our chance at Greenhaven to allow the people of Anoka to celebrate what makes Anoka unique. Fall is the best time to play golf. The golf course is in great shape. The weather's beautiful. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's just a wonderful time to come out and play golf and to be around the golf course, be around city.
Once again, fun and philanthropy go hand in hand at the Celebrate Anoka Golf Tournament, one of Anoka's most enjoyable and worthy events.
Welcome back. Now joining me in the studio is Anoka HRA House Manager Darren Berger. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So Darren, can you explain to us just a little bit about exactly what the HRA does and what how it benefits our community?
Yeah, the Housing Redevelopment Authority, we basically coordinate the city's preservation of existing housing and existing neighborhoods, but also work to redevelop any blighted or substandard homes or properties within the city.
And what specifically are your duties as house manager?
Well, first and foremost, I work between the public and our city staff and council and my HRA board, and try and work with people to not only redevelop, but also work with different housing programs within our ability that we have set up. And I think we'll get to that later. But really, just try and coordinate our various redevelopment within our various rules and policies, and then any sort of real estate activities that we do, any transactions, I coordinate those. Sometimes with the realtor, sometimes not. But yeah, that's mostly it.
Yeah, well, you just mentioned some of the programs, and just recently I became aware that the HRA was providing some home improvement programs. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, we actually have quite a few. We have, I think we have 6 different programs right now. Some vary in interest rate, some vary with different matching amounts that the homeowner is required to put forth. We have a maximum of $25,000 on one and a minimum of $1,000 on another. So it varies quite a bit, and it's for homeowners and rental property owners to make any improvements they see fit, especially energy improvements. That's a big one. But any improvements that they'd like to do on their properties.
As you mentioned, especially energy improvements. Now, are those the programs that I was reading about that are through the CEE?
Yeah, and actually all of them are. Center for Energy and Environment is CEE, who we contract with, and they administer all of our loans for us. They do the underwriting and approvals and the inspections, and they do the scope of work and the whole thing. So for us to not have to take on a full banker's role and a lending role like that and be able to contract that out, it's very good for us. And they've done a wonderful job. They've done 20,000, I think actually this is their 35th year.
Wow.
And they've done 20,000 loans and counting just within this realm. So it's a good partner for the city of Anoka to have.
And that's just in the city of Anoka?
The 20,000 is statewide, sorry.
Okay.
Clarified, but we've done hundreds here in the city of Anoka over the years.
That's outstanding.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I noticed that the CEE is offering some free home remodeling advisor visits. How can that benefit homeowners?
Well, if you're looking at doing any sort of remodeling or any work on your home or rental property, there's a rehab advisor that comes out, and it's a third-party person who would come in and they'd look at any sort of mechanical upgrades you're looking at doing, or structural work, or any sort of energy, like I mentioned, any sort of energy upgrades, anything like that. They'd work with you and look at what you want to do and look at what they might need to do in order to make it more energy efficient or things along that line.
That's awesome. That's a wonderful opportunity, I'm sure, for homeowners all over Anoka. Now, switching gears a little bit, now I have to ask you about this because I heard that recently in Anoka there was a house that was moved entirely from one property to the next. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was, the HRA purchased that in August of 2012, and we spent about the next year looking at feasibility of, does it make sense to move it? Does it, should we demolish it? Well, kind of weighing our options. And we worked with various, there was some private developers, there was some homeowners in the area. There was all sorts of people that really wanted to save the house. And so we worked with a family that is from Anoka, and they were able to facilitate that along with some of the HRA's help to get that done. And that actually just moved this August from 210 Monroe Street in Anoka to 314. So it stayed in the neighborhood, and it seems to be a really good fit down the block, and they're just working on finalizing the foundation now. So we're almost there, and then they're going to put quite a bit of work into it, and it'll be a great single-family home for that area.
That's something else. Well, as usual, it was great talking to you today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to have you on, and we hope that Anoka homeowners can really take advantage of some of these programs, especially in making their homes more energy efficient. Well, recently I had the opportunity to visit a Master Recycler composter class, and we have a little bit of video of that to follow.
I'm Sue Dahl, and I'm a solid waste specialist for Anoka County. And we're offering a Master Recycler Composter class. So we have 22 people signed up. Some of those folks work with some county recycling programs, but by and large they were just residents from the county. I hate waste of any form. And once you start learning about what recyclables get made into, and the energy saved from it, and the water saved, and the resources saved, it's just really an ethic that it just makes sense all the way around the world. If you want to just help out but you didn't have time for the class, you can certainly do that, because we're really trying to do a lot more outreach, and one of the big areas has been events this summer. We want to see recycling and organics offered at all of those events, and then that just helps educate everybody about the whole process. And organics is that next level, or organics for composting. And when we say organics, we're talking about paper products and fruit and vegetable waste. So it's adding a little bit more than just the stuff you can do in your backyard. Just recycle. We come to your house, we have curbside programs over the whole county. And so we're happy to, please just at least recycle the basics that you're not confused about. All your mixed paper at home, pop cans, bottles, cans. If you just did all of that, you would be doing a lot and really helping out at the county.
Well, that's it for this episode of News and Views. Stay tuned to QCTV for all the coverage in your community that matters. And check us out online at qctv.org. Thanks for watching QCTV.